Good morning, everyone. Jeanette Biro here. I'm a medium and a channeler, and welcome to Wednesday Wisdom with Spirit. We're getting to know the drill now. So every Wednesday, I will tune into Spirit either in the form of mediumship or channeling. Now, mediumship is when I am that interpreter, that middle person between who's coming through in Spirit and you. And I receive the messages from Spirit. I interpret them because maybe they give it to me in a visual or a symbolism, or maybe I hear it. Again, it just depends. And then I share it with all of you. So that's mediumship. Channeling is when they kind of merge more with me and they speak more directly through me. And that really is me hearing it at the same time for the first time as you are. And usually when I'm doing channeling, I will keep my eyes closed. If it's mediumship, my eyes are usually open and looking around, seeing different things. So that's kind of a nutshell. I never know what it's going to be until we tune in. It's just the same as if I show up in a reading. I don't know what it's going to be until I tune in. So let's just dive in and see what's in store for today. So just give me one moment. I'm going to sit here with my eyes closed for a moment, tune in to see who's around and then how they're going to come through. So hold on one sec here. Okay, so this is coming through from the Three Guides of Light, and it's coming through in the form of mediumship again because they're showing me images and stuff, so I know right away that's mediumship. All right, so what they're showing me is the concept of breaking through into new territory, and that's what we're doing right now. And so they're showing me, you know, when you're trying to break through a barrier, like say there's a big sheet of plastic held up and you're pushing your hand into that plastic and the plastic is starting to bend around the force of your hand. And you're pushing and pushing and pushing to break through a barrier into new ground, into new reality. They're saying that's where we're really at right now with consciousness on our planet. And so there's a push of energy. That hand, essentially, the force coming from behind that hand is a force pushing humanity to awaken, but there's pushback by that barrier, that known barrier of like whatever's beyond the barrier. We don't know what it is and it's scary or it's not good or this or that. This known barrier is causing that resistance, but the known barrier is starting to flex and bend. And so it's this push of force of ascension against this barrier that's flexing and bending, which is changing the way we perceive our known reality. Now, for many people, this is a scary time because maybe their minds haven't been open to things beyond the known reality, right? In different dimensional levels of consciousness, third dimensional consciousness, for example, is when we live within a box of known parameters. When we get into fourth dimensional consciousness awareness, the box starts to bend in on itself and we realize our reality isn't limited to the known factors or our known physics. 5D reality is when we completely grasp that and we start to live in the understanding of duality, or the understanding of there are different ways in which reality can be perceived. Now, if we take that one step further, 6th dimensional reality is when we start to see union and cohesion within differing realities, realizing that those are all real at the same time. Anyways, that's going too far from where I want to talk specifically right now. So when we move from this 3D, somewhat 4D reality into higher consciousness, we come against a resistance, an energetic resistance of consciousness. That's like that plastic barrier. And it's starting to pull and stretch and distort. Just like when you start pushing through a piece of plastic, it starts to stretch, and say it was an orange plastic bag, you start to pull it, becomes white, then it becomes clear, and then it finally rips open. So we're right at that point right now where it's stretching into something that has not been seen yet. And I don't mean that most of you watching this stretch is not a scary thing. You're like, oh, we're stepping into the other reality. And I've seen that other side, we're good. But for those that have never seen that bag stretch or break, realizing that they always believed it couldn't break and it wouldn't break and there was no such thing as it breaking, that's a scary thing, because then it's like, well, what is beyond that? And so the message from the Three Guides of the Light right now is to have compassion for the experience of all within this change of known reality. And the way we can do that is, they're also saying having compassion for self too. So anytime we come across, anytime we come across something that's triggering us into fear or something within this change, is take time to pause. In that moment of pause, we get to then come back to consciously choosing how we want to react, interact, or be because of that thing. So when we take that into an idea of how we have compassion for self when we meet something that's triggering or frustrating or annoying, and as well when we see others stepping into fear, stepping into panic, stepping into chaos because their known reality is changing, pause. And then consciously choose how you want to interact with that. Do you want to interact in terms of bringing that person comfort? Do you want to interact in terms of stepping away and letting them figure it out and then come back after? Like, take the time so that you don't get pulled into what is not yours as we push through this barrier of significant change right now, change in known reality. One other thing here. This change in known reality also is going to really, fair enough. They're saying it's happening on so many different levels. So it'll change the way in which we understand governments can work. It'll change the way in which we understand our own concept of reality works. It'll change how we understand sacred teachings, like the layers and layers and layers. And the way that I can compare that is when we read ancient texts, there are so many layers, especially those written by sages, right? Like the really wise people. There are so many layers in their writing. So a simple sentence could say one thing in 3D, but when you look deeper into it, it says something more. And then when you look even deeper, that same sentence can say something so much more. So there's many, many layers of things that are changing. So just again, having that compassionate lens as we shift into new known realities is really going to help us moving forward. So I will leave that with you all for now. And I do want to say this is actually really timely considering what I'm going to be talking about in Cosmic Consciousness Circle tonight. So if you're wanting to join, definitely don't miss out. You can sign up at avalonspirit.com under Cosmic Consciousness Circle. And I am going to be talking about, light beings, interdimensional beings, the angelic realm, and extraterrestrials, and what that all means right now. And this is a topic that Spirit has been bringing through for me since January. And it's very interesting the time in which it has landed to be presented. So if you're curious about some of that stuff, check out Cosmic Consciousness Circle. And I so look forward to seeing you there. Have a beautiful rest of your day, everyone.